Professor Mary Jansen van Rensburg, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome in Édition Speciale. A few days ago, you have organized here in Cascavel a colloquium. What are the insights of this colloquium for the future of teaching for Middlesex University?
So it's interesting. This colloquium was really to share best practices, and the colloquium centered around the use of technology with or without in the classroom. And so when we look at practices that our local staff members shared during the day, it was absolutely astounding how the younger people are incorporating AI and gamification in teaching. Now, we are teaching a new generation. It's not the same as in our time where we sat down and we listened to a lecturer standing in front of us telling us what we didn't know. Today, our students have technology at their hands. They have instant information. And so our approach needs to change. We need to incorporate technology and we need to teach them the skills to deal with technology. But technology on its own is not the only consideration because there's still a learning process. There's still humans behind technology. So we also need to understand how we deal with students from an emotional perspective, from a well-being perspective. Things like addiction to social media, addiction to AI. What do we do? How do we actually get them to connect physically and not just anonymously on an online platform? So it's an interesting conversation. It's an ongoing conversation because just as we expect students to learn, we expect staff to learn and to continuously improve. And that's why we have these colloquiums to share these practices and then to think about what does this mean? So what does it mean? It means this is the start of a conversation. Our next academic year will start in September. So this now gives staff the opportunity to really explore those things that caught their interest and to see how they can incorporate that in their own teaching. But it was also interesting because our Pro Vice Chancellor for Teaching and Learning Experience from the UK attended. And it was lovely because she was sitting right next to me. And as we were having a conversation, she was making a list. And at a point, I said to her, Alan, what are you doing? She says, this is a to-do list. These are things that we need to implement at all our campuses, whether it is London, Dubai, or China. So it's wonderful to see how this international community gets together through actually having conversations on an annual basis.
So, what has been done here is going to have an effect on your other universities in Dubai, elsewhere?
Absolutely. So, a number of the assessment techniques, for example, is really state of the art. And Alan is taking that back to the UK. Now, it will be of interest to you to know that today the UK have a similar colloquium. They call it a Teaching and Learning Festival. And our staff is also presenting there. So, yes, what we do in different contexts shape what we do as a global organization.
What form of collaboration you think this colloquium will end with?
Well, you know what? It's about cross-departmental collaboration. So one of the presentations during the day dealt with students from different teams working on pitches, because of course that's the other thing that we have at heart is practice and partnerships. So we are looking at partnerships across different faculties to get students to work together on projects. Now, you can imagine a project that is informed not just by marketing students, but also by psychology students and computer sciences students. So it brings new dimensions and it actually enriches the learning experience.
What role you think AI and emerging technologies will have in the future of learning in Middlesex?
It already has a huge impact, and let's just start from a student's perspective. AI can be a personalized tutor. You can ask questions to AI that you cannot ask your tutor in class. AI provides you instant access to information. But of course, we don't want students to ask AI to compose an assignment for them because that would just be defeating the purpose. But we are incorporating AI now to produce outputs. I'll give you a specific example. For advertising, public relations, and branding, for example, AI is already incorporated in the curriculum to produce images, to produce copy, to produce text. It was interesting, the minister said at the HE summit 2 weeks ago that, of course, AI will replace people. It will replace people who doesn't use AI. And so we are teaching students to ethically use AI. I remember fondly, and I think you would too, when we got emails. There were a lot of questions about, what would the impact of an email be on communication? We need to write letters by hand because that gives us time to reflect. It gives us time to think. And, by the time that it has gone through a postal system, the emotions would be settled down. Do we do it today?
No, the
We
answer
actually
is no.
have other means of communicating, and it's the same with AI. It's a tool. It is not going to replace anything. It's going to make us more effective and more efficient, but we need to do it in an ethical manner.
What are the key what are the key academic events that you're planning? I know there is a beautiful building is under construction, and what are you planning for the coming years?
Oh, there's so many plans. Let me just start. Let me just start with this year. So on Saturday we have a TEDx event, and as you know, TEDx gives wonderful speakers the opportunities to tell tales. So on Saturday there's TEDx. In September we have an international conference in collaboration with Stadio Education, the largest private university in South Africa, to actually reflect on leadership with a purpose and have some reflections on sustainability and resilience. In November, we will be cooperating with the Business Ethics Network Africa and APSA to do a conference on innovative technologies, friend or foe, reflections on governance and ethics. And those are some of the events that we look forward to. In September, we will also be opening that beautiful building. Now, that beautiful building is custom built to look at future-facing programs. So some of the programs that we hope to actually offer by September is a BSc Honours in Artificial Intelligence and Data Sciences. Then, of course, there's the B Engineering qualifications in Mechatronics and Robotics. So a lot of future-facing qualifications coming in. That building hosts a state-of-the-art lab for robotics and mechatronics. You would not find something similar in Africa. So we are very excited. We're hoping to become a center of excellence for engineering. There's also a beautiful space for executive education because we believe in continuous learning. So we will be entering that market with more short learning programs, specifically around AI, data sciences, and business studies, to make sure that we go beyond just the traditional student market. And then, of course, there's all the wonderful things that you would expect from a university like Middlesex. There's additional student spaces, cafeterias, there's recording studios, something that you may want to use for podcasts and also for other productions with wonderful computers, state-of-the-art computer labs, 150-seater auditorium. Middlesex is growing. We have taken note of the ambitions of government to establish Mauritius as an attractive study destination. And we are going to do our best to bring affordable, quality UK education to Mauritius and Africa.
This is the main goals? Are these the main goals for Middlesex University Mauritius?
The main goals of Middlesex University Mauritius is to make a difference. We transform lives. And we transform lives in the communities in which we exist. So it is not about growth. It is not about just students. It's about producing talent for the nation and beyond.
Professor Mary Jansen van Rensburg, thank you very much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.